Hi, I'm Kanika. I'm a lead venture architect at BCG X and a co-founder of our Green Ventures team and offering. I've been with BCG for about 7 years, where I've been building and commercializing ventures across a wide variety of industries. But it was about 3 years ago when climate tech had sort of reemerged as a trending topic following the entire clean tech 1.0 boom and bust. When I came to a realization of really three things. So one, we're really at an inflection point in history that's being driven by this urgent need to address climate change. Secondly, the innovation and the investment that's required to actually get us on that 1.5 degree trajectory is on a totally different magnitude, right, than what we have ever seen before, especially because of the required timescales. And because of that, we're going to really need far more resources to actually prove out and scale the needed technologies rapidly. And the last piece, thirdly, is that we as BCG as a firm are really uniquely positioned to accelerate and unlock both impact and value in this overall transition to net zero by leveraging our vast expertise, our capabilities, as well as our network. So that was sort of the genesis for my focus in green tech and the reason I do what I do. I'd love to shed a little bit more light on BCG X, as we're a pretty, newly launched entity. I think, when most people think of BCG, unsurprisingly, they think of us as a management consulting firm, but we're really a multifaceted organization with a vast range of capabilities that extend kind of far beyond strategy. So in, BCG's 60 years of existence, we've really demonstrated an ability to innovate within the own business and kind of adapt to the changing reality that we see externally. So for example, in 2014, we were really a first mover in the corporate innovation space with the launch of BCG Digital Ventures, which some of you, may have heard of. And with that business, we actually took over 200 businesses to market. And BCG X is sort of like the latest manifestation, right, of our ability to be entrepreneurial and adapt to the reality that we see, in the macroeconomic environment. And it's sort of a combination of our specialty businesses, including what used to be the BCG Digital Ventures brand. So yeah, we launched BCG X in December last year. And we're really this hybrid that is combining technology, design and build with business strategy to help business leaders achieve tech innovation at scale and deliver on some really complex end-to-end transformations that you can't actually do, right, just with consultants or tech vendors alone. So as it might sound, BCG X does a lot of things. We're a team of, I think, 3,000 plus technologists, strategists, business builders, designers, and so on. But one of our focus areas is actually green tech. And what we're doing, right, is we're helping close the climate innovation gap and accelerate the net zero transition through building, scaling, and also in some cases investing in climate tech businesses and technologies that sort of fit within our thesis of high impact and value. And how we do that, right? So we harness a lot of the deep sector expertise that we've been building, right, over the last 6 decades, combine that with our business building capabilities that we've had, right, through our DV arm, and the vast corporate and strategic partner network that we have, to make, all of this possible. And to kind of make it a little bit more concrete for you, so we go to market in several ways. So that includes working with corporates, of course, to help them basically, figure out how they can leverage their assets to, be foundational to new business build or commercial opportunities in this decarbonization economy. While also in some cases simultaneously, progressing towards their net zero targets. We also help investors figure out how to mobilize capital towards climate change and support, right, this overall transition. And then the last point that I'll mention is that we also recognize that climate change is a physical problem, inevitably, and while digital solutions are really going to help enable and optimize the transition, the majority of solutions are hard tech, right? So asset heavy, they're going to require kind of physical deployment and infrastructure to really help them scale. So what we've actually been doing in the past few years is building relationships with a community of climate tech entrepreneurs, where we can help startups and scale-ups actually, execute and increase their chances of success in these, more complex and longer valleys of death that many of them experience in this space. The reason why we're coming to Innovation Zero is because there aren't really a lot of climate tech focused conferences of this caliber and scale in Europe, let alone the UK. So for that reason, we as BCG X, and I'm really excited. I think it's a fantastic opportunity for us to connect with this broader climate tech ecosystem and build a greater presence for ourselves as well. And I'll also mention, that we are fully aligned with the mission that you guys have, which is about bringing together this vast ecosystem of players with this goal to really accelerate the partnerships as well as the collaborations that are needed between those who are developing the low carbon solutions that are going to get us to net zero, as well as the players who actually, desperately need to deploy these solutions and who are also looking to fund them. So we're hosting an exciting workshop on fast-tracking green tech deployment. So you might know, that emissions are set to raise by 11% by 2030, yet they're actually required to fall by 45% to actually limit warming to 1.5 degrees above pre-industrial levels. So it really can't be underemphasized that we urgently need to advance climate tech to be able to take a sharp U-turn on this trajectory. And our analysis has also highlighted that over 50% of our carbon equivalent emissions emitted annually around the world can only be mitigated through new green technologies that are essentially still under development, So they're either at prototype stage or in demonstration stage. And these are the likes of low carbon hydrogen, CCUS, energy storage, biofuels, and so on. So if these technologies are really going to, play their essential role in mitigating emissions and helping us meet those Paris agreements, they've got to achieve mass industrialization at least 2 to 3 times faster than earlier green technologies, like solar or wind, for example. So there's this massive need to figure out how do we actually rapidly accelerate innovation cycles, scale up these technologies for industrialization, secure access to talent as well as funding resources to really be able to unlock, mass market acceptance as well as demand. So that's really not an easy task to achieve. So we're going to be hosting this workshop, Fast Tracking Green Tech Deployment, where we'll be speaking to a variety of players and engaging in a candid conversation around how do we actually unpick the hurdles that exist, to get to rapid industrialization, and how can we possibly overcome them together as a broader ecosystem and community. And yeah, very excited for this, and we really want the audience who's attending to also be very engaged in this discussion. In terms of who we want to meet, climate change is such a complex and systemic issue that in order to solve it, we've really got to treat it in its entirety as an interdisciplinary challenge, that really cuts across sectors, industries, and players. So I'd love to meet innovative companies, whether they're small, whether they're big, investors, climate tech enthusiasts, and other ecosystem players who are really mobilizing their efforts towards getting to net zero as quickly as possible, as well as those who are keen to collaborate with us or build relationships with us. We're really going to need collaboration at every single step of the value chain and every single node of the ecosystem to address this tremendous challenge ahead of us. So I'm really grateful for the opportunity to participate in Innovation Zero and build the bridges that we need to actually transform this global economy and decarbonize rapidly in the next decade. It seems very far-fetched and far away, but in reality, it's a lot, closer than we really think, So we've got to cut our emissions by half by the end of, this decade, by 2030, which is an enormous challenge. So I think the message that I'd like to send to everybody is, the time is really now to amp up our efforts, to build the bridges that we need, to have the challenging conversations that are required to actually overcome these hurdles that exist in getting us to net zero. So yeah, really want to network, mingle with others who are trying to tackle the same problem. Yeah, we're all in this together, and looking forward to meeting you all. So we've got an exciting, lineup of attendees who are joining our session that we're just about to finalize, and they're each going to be bringing different perspectives when it comes to fast tracking green technologies. One of the startups that I'd love to highlight who's going to be speaking in our session is Energy Dome. They're an Italian player in the long duration energy storage space that we're super excited about. They recently announced a 40 million Series B financing round. So, huge congratulations to the team. And they're really going after this very real and growing problem of intermittency in the grid, right? So as we start adding more solar and wind to the grid, we simply need more storage to be able to meet demand and make renewable energy a reliable and valuable contributor to the grid. And while we've got lithium-ion batteries, there's kind of a variety of challenges that we face, right? So the costs scale quite linearly as you start adding more capacity and duration to the storage. And then there's a whole host of supply chain issues. So there's a whole, world of players who are trying to tackle this utility scale, long duration space. But most of them are really talking about having a demonstration plant ready in like 2030 or 2035. So the reason I'm super excited about a player like Energy Dome is they're actually taking existing and well-known technology and components, so the types of components that are very well-known in the oil and gas industry, for example, that are very easy to use, and they're using that to actually go to market very, very fast. So their breakthrough technology is called the CO2 battery, which is all about manipulating the state of carbon dioxide to basically store and dispatch energy. And the reason it's super differentiated is due to a unique combination of both high efficiency and low cost together. So to me, it's a really fantastic example of a genuinely sustainable and practical solution to the green tech space that doesn't rely on inaccessible tech or materials. So I think very excited to have them join our panel. I think there's a lot for many of us to learn around the way that they're actually going to market and building their technology to be extremely scalable.